the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
Welcome in. City Market has become a symbol of the challenges downtown Indianapolis is facing as the pandemic continues.
We've heard from multiple business owners sharing their concerns about crime and loitering, driving customers away. That's in addition to the pandemic turning downtown into a shadow of its usual bustling self. New tonight and working for you, WRTV's Cornelius Hawker finds out what's being done to turn all of that around from the woman tapped to take on that difficult task.
Throughout the day into the evening, City Market is there for people who live, work, or spend time in downtown Indianapolis. But because of the pandemic, they've had a rocky few months.
It's really supporting the merchants that are here, raising awareness that we are open for business.
That's Catherine Esselman, the interim executive director for City Market. Throughout our conversation, she really wanted to get the message across that City Market is open for business.
Free carry-out parking out front, the farmers markets on Wednesday. So some of our staple events continue to thrive, to continue to happen.
But not everyone's convinced they'll be able to bring business back. In July, we reported on complaints from business owners inside of City Market who said loitering and criminal activity had been scaring off customers. IMPD has taken reports of theft, trespassing, and vandalism. To address those concerns and provide a sense of security, City Market put up metal fencing.
When the market's closed, you also don't need to be on the property.
But Nico Salm, who's lived in Indy most of his life, feels like the barriers are sending the wrong message.
It's a public space. Like if you're experiencing homelessness, public spaces are literally your last refuge.
What some of us see as just a closed off area could mean much more to someone else.
This might be their only respite from a long day of walking is these benches and these plants here.
And Nico tells me he gets City Market's side to this. They're just trying to protect their business and livelihoods. Catherine is hopeful newly announced programs from the city will help those people who used to frequent City Market after hours. Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
Last month, Downtown Indy Inc. announced additional security plans, including adding 150 security cameras and creating a safety patrol program.
The pandemic is also taking its toll on jobs. Hiring Hoosiers is committed to connecting you to new opportunities across central Indiana. 1 week from today, Amazon will host a virtual career day. Today, the company announced it's filling more than 800 full-time positions for a new operations facility in Greenfield. Representatives say jobs and careers with Amazon span a range of industries.
Those range from corporate technology jobs like solution architect, cloud support associate, to jobs supporting our logistics network, so HR specialists, workforce health and safety, on-site medical reps, and then area managers, which are great jobs for transitioning veterans and military spouses as well.
You can apply for the jobs at the career fair, and you can also take part in career coaching sessions. Kroger is holding another job fair next Wednesday. The grocery chain is hiring dozens of people to work at locations on the north side of Indianapolis, Westfield, Fishers, and Carmel.
We would love to talk to people who are laid off or furloughed right now, people who are looking for a temporary job, but also people who are looking for a full-time permanent job. Many of our associates, myself included, started coming for a job and they've stayed for a career. So we would love to talk to people that just want a job, and we'll see if we can turn it into a career for you.
And the company Milwaukee Tool is opening a facility on the South Tech Drive in Greenwood. The company plans to hire more than 450 people for the new location over the next 5 years. For more information and links to apply to the job opportunities we mentioned and many more, go to hiringhoosiers.com.
Extra $300 in unemployment payments are expected to start going out to Hoosiers starting September 21st. The Department of Workforce Development Commissioner answered questions about the money at today's weekly news conference on the pandemic. And because of the way the federal funding is structured, it's possible that it could run out before everyone who is eligible gets a payment.
We've been working with FEMA and the Department of Labor to try to address this issue. We're making sure that we try to get as many claimants paid and updated as possible, and we're going to try to address that issue as it arises. I can't give you a definite answer on that right now, other than our goal is to ensure that every Hoosier who's eligible will receive the $300 benefit.
The department is still working on the infrastructure to make those payments. State leaders also answered questions about COVID-19 vaccines. Indiana's health commissioner says experts at every level are committed to making sure vaccines are safe before they are introduced to the public.
I know there's a lot of talk out there about the vaccine already, and unfortunately a lot of coming down both sides of the aisle as to whether this is going to come out and be rushed out and not be safe. I want you to know that the pharmaceutical companies that are engaged in producing these vaccines are committed to not rolling out a vaccine until they have fully vetted that vaccine, and that the FDA is also committed to making sure that we stick very closely, as are these pharmaceutical companies, to the highest standards for ethics and the highest standards for scientific principles in developing these vaccines.
Yesterday, AstraZeneca announced its vaccine trials are on hold. The drug company says a volunteer in Britain suffered a serious side effect. The company also says the pause is a standard precaution. Last week, the IU School of Medicine announced it will be a testing site for those trials.
36 additional COVID-19 testing sites are scheduled to open across Indiana by the end of the week. The State Department of Health is partnering with local health departments to add nearly 100 community testing sites. The state says it's investing more than $30 million to increase access to COVID testing over the next 2 years. Around 60 other locations are scheduled to open by October 1st.
President Trump and Joe Biden are weighing in on the bombshell audio recordings from famed journalist Bob Woodward's new book. ABC's Inez de la Cuartera has the latest on the revelations and the reaction.
Tonight, President Trump insisting he did not mislead the American public when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic.
We don't want to instill panic. We don't want to jump up and down and start shouting that we have a problem.
This after an explosive new book from journalist Bob Woodward reports Trump told Woodward his decision to publicly downplay the severity of the virus was intentional. Here's an excerpt of an audio clip obtained by CNN from the interviews.
It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus. This is more deadly.
Trump allegedly making those comments on February 7, but here he is just 3 weeks later telling the American people the virus is like the flu.
This is a flu. This is like a flu. Within a couple of days, it's going to be down to close to zero. That's a pretty good job we've done.
Then in March, in another recorded interview, the president appearing to acknowledge to Woodward that he deliberately was downplaying the severity of the virus in his public statements.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down. Yes, sir. Because I don't want to create a panic.
National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien confirming Woodward's reporting that he told Trump on January 28 that coronavirus, quote, will be the biggest national security threat you face in your presidency. Campaigning in Michigan Wednesday, Joe Biden calling the president's comments a disgrace.
He knew how dangerous it was. And while this deadly disease ripped through our nation, he failed to do his job on purpose. It was a life and death betrayal of the American people.
Woodward's new book, Rage, is set to be released next week, just 7 weeks before Election Day. Inez de la Cuartera, ABC News, Washington.
Take to my Facebook, and not be ashamed of it. It was just one of those things where it's like, well, why not me?
Next, an Indianapolis man is on a mission to show people who may be struggling with depression or suicidal thoughts they are not alone. Tomorrow, he'll be part of an effort to stop the music and talk about mental health. And a little later,
it's really important for our seniors to age with dignity.
You or someone you love may need extra care as the years go on. If you're not sure how you'll pay for that care, help is available. Kevin.
And Mark, for most, temperatures in the 70s right now. We'll talk about when lows return to the 50s and your weekend forecast next.
That feeling that I used to have of being alone, like it's all mental, but it's also a lot.
Tomorrow is World Suicide Prevention Day. It is an opportunity to talk openly about mental health struggles, especially as more people might be dealing with anxiety and depression during this difficult year. WRTV's Cameron Riddle introduces us to a man who's on a mission to share a lesson that took him years to learn when it comes to mental health.
Marcus Watts is familiar with mental health struggles after surviving the darkest days of his life in his mid-20s.
When my friends passed, it was like a domino effect because I lost 5 people close to me in a matter of like 18 months, 2 years. So 3 to gun violence and then the 2 that died by suicide. So I just kind of was trying to find my way.
At the time, Watts was also battling alcohol addiction. Today, at 30 years old, he's sober and has indeed found his way, using motivational speaking to help other people understand they are not alone. Watts never attempted to take his own life, but realized if he didn't get help, an unreversible action could lie ahead.
I was struggling with finding my purpose. I always played sports, so I went to college for a couple years, and when the sports didn't pan out, you kind of feel lost. And now you're 22, 23, no job history, so it's hard to find a job. I had my first son when I was 18, so I was already a parent. Those type of things, start to catch up with you.
In this Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month, Watts will be among the voices heard Thursday during Radio 1's Stop the Music broadcast, highlighting mental health issues. During this pandemic especially, he is speaking up in hopes of reminding everyone that your fears or anxiety are shared by your neighbors, whether working from home, not working at all, or working in a high-risk environment.
And I saw that happen with, like, my sister and my mother who works at the VA hospital, and even my spouse losing her job due to all these things. So, it took a toll on me and a lot of my friends and family as well.
The words on Watts' shirt say alone is a lie. He says that's the message anyone feeling alone should understand.
If you feel like you're alone and in your mind it's just repeating that, it's telling you that, like, you don't need to reach out to anyone because they're not going to understand you. Your parents won't understand. Your friends won't understand. That feeling of being alone, it's a lie.
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
Tomorrow, our media partners at Radio 1 will stop the music on 5 Indianapolis radio stations starting at 10 a.m. to observe World Suicide Prevention Day. Radio 1's Stop the Music radio block begins at 10 a.m. and can be heard on 106.7 WTLC, Hot 96.3, Radio Now 100.9, WTLC AM, The Light, and LeGrand 105.1. And our Rebound Indiana initiative has been sharing with you mental health resources and tips since the pandemic began. Anyone in the state can dial 211 to access help, and you can find links to organizations like the Bowen Center right now at WRTV.com/rebound.
The Indianapolis Parks Department wants you to help shape the future of a West Side park. Indy Parks is hosting an open house at Riverside Park from noon to 4 on Saturday. The department is working on transforming the former Riverside Golf Course into a multi-use park for everyone. Visitors are encouraged to share ideas. That open house will include food trucks, performances, and artwork on display. Guided biking tours will also be offered throughout the day. Dozens of kids will have new bikes to ride this fall thanks to an enterprising IMPD officer. The Southwest District officer's own love for riding a bicycle as a kid inspired him to start a fundraiser. IMPD says he raised around $8,000, and so far 15 bikes have been purchased. They'll go to kids in the area.
I think it's important that, the community understands, officers care, and, they go out to these runs, they notice that, there are families in need, and they try and fill that need. So I think that's important.
The officer also plans to buy helmets for kids so they can ride their new bikes safely. Kevin.
Mark, we had fog develop last night. I think it will happen again tonight. Our temperatures are comfortable, as you can see. 71 in Kokomo, Indianapolis, a little bit warmer. Later in the 7-day, low temperatures will be in the 50s 3 straight mornings, so we can look forward to that. And you can open the windows once again, but not the next couple of mornings. 66 tomorrow morning, lower temperatures as we go to Friday, and Saturday it's 60, but it's early next week that will be consistently in the lower 50s. Tomorrow morning, Patchy fog, especially, say, Lafayette to Terre Haute, may come down toward Indy and Bloomington as well. Temperature by 11 a.m. at 73. More sunshine in the afternoon. Temperatures move into the upper 70s, and then not much higher than that. Should be around 80, almost 10 degrees cooler in most locations than what we had today. And part of the reason for that is a change in wind direction. Temperatures Friday, coolest of the work week at 78. We'll see a decent amount of cloud cover, but stay dry. The chance for thunderstorms returns Saturday and Saturday night, 84 degrees. Warmest temperature over the weekend. Instead of a south wind, it's a northeast wind as we're on the mild side of high pressure tomorrow. We'll see gusts at times to 10 to 15 miles per hour. That's bringing in drier air and cooler air. You'll really feel the change in humidity, though not tomorrow, but you'll feel it Friday is when it will be much better. Temperature still a bit on the warm side south of Indy, but north of Indy, mid-70s, Peru, Logansport, 80 in Terre Haute, and 80 in Lafayette, 85 in Terre Haute. Friday forecast, decent amount of cloud cover first half of the day. We'll see more sunshine late in the day. Put this in motion, you see the clouds around through the day. Friday night football, we'll go from 78 degrees for the afternoon temperature. Kickoff temperatures in the mid-70s, winds out of the northeast Friday night, but not too strong. So if it does come down to a field goal attempt, there's a realistic shot. If you look at temperatures over the weekend, 82 Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday mornings. Those are the 3 days where temperatures will be in the 50s for morning lows, 54 specifically on Tuesday morning. And look at all that. Sunshine early next week, something to look forward to.
All right, Kevin, thank you. Looking forward to it. Hey, if life throws you a curveball after you retire, will you be ready for it? Healthcare policies made specifically for people who often live on a fixed income are becoming more common. Scripps reporter Ashley Sampson shows you where you can find help navigating the system.
When you enter the sunset years of life, often there's reflection. Terry Krieger likes to think of her former career as the school lunch lady.
I loved it. If I could, I'd go back.
But the passing of time eventually catches up to all of us. She's now been in an assisted care facility for about a year and a half.
I had very high concerns that I would be put here and left.
It made for some scary times.
And I haven't been.
She says if it wasn't for her daughter, she'd be lost.
People here will ask, what insurance you have, and I go, I don't know. Ask my daughter.
Terry is not alone.
It's crazy. People just don't know enough.
Navigating the world of health insurance and available services for our aging population can be overwhelming for families.
When it comes down to it, there is always a way. You just have to explore the different options, and that's where I come in.
Meet Michelle Millay.
That's exactly what I feel like, an advocate.
She's part of a national organization called Assisted Living Locators that helps families find the best options and how to pay for it.
It's really important for our seniors to age with dignity.
Her introduction to the world of senior care was personal. Her mother suffered from dementia and her father struggled to care for her.
I'll never forget that conversation because that was devastating to him. He thought he had planned and unfortunately didn't.
Now she's made it a mission of sorts to make sure no one else is put in that position.
It's very important to get us ahead of the game.
Meaning having those tough conversations as soon as possible. Terry is adjusting well to her new life, and she has some advice for those willing to just roll the dice down the road.
Plan for retirement, because you never think that you're going to be where you're at in 20 years.
I'm Ashley Sampson reporting. Today marks a bittersweet end of an era. After more than 2 decades with WRTV, sports director Dave First is starting a new chapter in his career with IndyCar, but not before sharing some memories and saying goodbye to you.
So, this is it. And I've been trying to come up with a way that best looks back at 23 years, and I've come up with this. Mic flags. These are the little cubes or triangles that fit on top of the microphone that you see reporters use each and every day. Obviously, I've seen my fair share, but never used this one. This is the way I will always remember Channel 6, and an opportunity to work with Ed Sorensen.
I'm not going to debate things with you damn people from television. You know, you want an answer from me, you get the answer. You don't like an answer, then don't use program, okay?
And you got to cover Bob Knight and the Hoosiers, and I was cool with that. In fact, my first time on Channel 6, it was this clip when I was in college at IU. That's me. Wonder what ever happened to that V-neck sweater.
6 or 7 years.
10 years later, there I am, hired by Ed and ready to go. And 8 months into it, get to cover the Pacers and Bulls in the Eastern Conference Finals. The last dance, as ESPN called it in the spring.
The Pacers played very well in the first half. But then again, Michael Jordan only had 6 points.
Was that a goatee and a monochromatic tie? Yes, it was. We were off and running, a span that included the Peyton Manning era, start to finish.
These fans, Dave, I mean, you were here to watch this town transform into a football town.
We'll never forget being in the Colts locker room after Super Bowl 41 and asked by Tony Dungy to stay in the locker room for the post-game prayer. Who does that? What an incredible moment. There were the serious and the tragic moments, and also the gags and bits, and I mean, you just don't have time or the luxury to do that stuff anymore.
The biggest question I want is ABC treating you okay?
You guys are the unsung heroes up here.
First and foremost, that's my line.
Bad luck. Better luck next time.
So every Sunday, sooner or later, it comes down to luck in the NFL.
Sorry, can I interrupt you just for a sorry?
No, I had a thing going.
You must use a million of these luck puns.
There's potluck. Only used in Denver. Back from the future, 1984, Trackside 6 analyst Derek Daly joins us. Derek, it's great to have you here today.
Pleasure to be here, David.
And of course, there's our friend Tony Kanaan, our driver analyst for an unprecedented 12 years. And when he won the 500 in 2013, there literally wasn't a dry eye in the house, ours included. The thing I tell buddies from around the country about Indianapolis, it's the best sports market, period. There is always something going on in the area that treats high school sports as big as the pros. As for Knight, it was a day for Knight. When he finally returned to Assembly Hall, Gene Cady was there. It was a fantastic atmosphere. Early February, and one of the most memorable scenes in sports in this bizarre year of 2020. Ultimately, the goal was to get everyone in Central Indiana that proverbial front row seat to sports. The good, the bad, the ugly, you saw it all. And we'll continue to see it all on WRTV. And barely a day went by when I didn't think about being a steward of a sports office once run by the legendary Tom Carnegie. I like to think TC would be proud of the accomplishments over the years. The beauty of it is there's still social media, so keep the tweets coming, Instagram, Facebook. We'll still do it all. And literally and figuratively, I'm not going very far. Just down West 16th Street, joining another great group. And really, WRTV's first love decades ago in racing. So can't wait to see all of you at an IndyCar race and certainly the Indy 500 next year. My sincere thanks as well to the staff and management at WRTV and to you for inviting me into your home for all these years. It was never taken lightly. Thank you.
Some of us will start the day in a fog, or should I say with patchy fog. We'll get sunshine after that, a nice little north breeze. It will feel better instead of the upper 80s, around 80 for the afternoon high. Friday will be cooler. Amanda, will stay in the 70s.
Sounds good. Thanks for making WRTV your choice for news. Good Morning Indiana starts at 4:30. Good night.